this guard up so you can see it's a plate, and we're going to weld this on. Now, one thing try not to do in this is, like, he's got a seam drawn in here, but don't pay any attention to that because that's how we're going to put that. What we're going to end up doing is pre-rolling some of these. So if we're going to make this guard here, these 7 pieces, what I want the seam to do is I want the seam to be at the bottom of where the conveyor is. So when it gets welded, it all works out nicely. So pinching the material. And just starting like this. Okay. So what that's going to do, that's going to give us our start, and then we're going to pull it around the whole thing. I could probably... Right, good enough. I'm just going to line this up, and we want it to be at the straight section, and I can kind of open it up as I need to. Pretty well what I usually do. The only thing we're going to have to do is just make sure these are nice and tight in here. And especially like after the curves. So sometimes, and you don't want to hit this up with a metal hammer because you're going to end up denting it and doing all of that stuff. So probably I'd put a Bessie clamp on that to hold it down. So that's pretty well what I do. And then what I'm going to do is set the welder to 19,300, and I'm going to fully weld that, and then I'm going to grind it. So let me get my welding helmet. Make sure this is clean. I'm going to weld that. I'm going to make sure to fill the whole fillet, I guess. And when I do that, I'm going to make sure to fill it all because we're going to bevel, or we're going to grind it all. It's going to be blended smooth. This right here, depending if there's a gap or not, you can put a piece of aluminum under there, but it's probably best to... And you want to make sure there's enough there that it's not going to fall off. So that's going to get ground smooth. So I might even turn it down 17, maybe 270. if you make this seam parallel with the table, you can run your hand along it too. You put a guard on this, but so I got a 1/4 inch hard disc, and I'm gonna go and get this edge square. I find if I work backwards, I can see where which way I gotta tilt the grinder. Okay, so now that I got that roughed out, I'm going to hit it flat. And now I'm going to grind all this out. Here is I've cleaned this square and this square, and if you did a good job, you should end up with a nice sharp edge. You can see some of them have a little divot, but now what we're going to do is we got a fresher disc, a fiber disc. You could do a flat disc, but I like to rough it out with the hard disc. But now what we're going to do is we're going to blend. What I want to try to do with this is get out all the little lumps or something. So, and I'm making sure I'm grinding nice and flat. So that's pretty well it. Now, if this is going to get powder coated, this is going to be too coarse, and we're going to have to do like either a worn disc to get all this out. It'll be a bit too rough, but it's now nice and smooth. This all lines up. It's not like offset in a weird way. And then usually I'll find the backing plate, and just sometimes you might need to tweak it a bit. You know, you want it to line up half decent, so you might just end up having to, you can see right here, this kind of balls out a bit. So you could, but, and that's pretty well, that's a guard there. But like I said, if you just leave it, this is a 40 grit resin fiber disc, this is gonna be too coarse and it's gonna come through the powder coating. So I'd hit that with maybe a duller one to just kind of smooth it out, but that's it. So this is it right here. So this looks a little bit lumpy, and this will get cleaned up. I didn't hit this with a resin disc. It should look a little bit more like that. So, but it's got to get once over before it gets powder coated too. But that's a quick, easy guard. This is 10 gauge. This is I think 16 or 14 gauge. And the welder this is a little bit hot. It could be a little bit colder than that. So, and this is the hard disc, and these are the resin fiber discs. So this is just how these guards go together. So this is pretty well the guard here. Now you can see it's all been cleaned up and nice and smooth. Right here, what I said, when it falls off, there's a lot of people, you weld this way, when you go to this seam, it's going to be the hottest and it's just going to fall out, and then you're going to end up with a big divot in there. So start here and work your way in. Yeah. This is what I found the easiest and cheapest way to build these guards, to make them look good too. And you can have that, like, you don't end up with a square guard or something. So this is a piece of 10 gauge. This is a piece of 16 gauge, and you can see, yeah, just put some standoffs in there, and that's pretty well it.